Hello and welcome to York County. I'm Lynn Turner Fitzgerald, your host. Stoney Field, a familiar face, General Manager of MetraPark, is back with us today. Thank you again for being here.
Lynn, it's always a pleasure. Thank you for having me again.
It is always fun to have you on. So I want to circle back to the summer and the fair and the new rodeo grounds. Successful?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, good.
We set records across the board. As far as revenue generation, it was one of our highest ever. It was the highest ever.
Well, is there an explanation for that?
I think that people have just always, the fair is something that they enjoy to come to. The rodeo was a success, but it didn't necessarily impact the entire fair. So it was only 3 days of our fair, and that's in the evening. So we did have some better concert acts this year, and I say better just from name recognition and up with the times. So that helped us a bunch. But overall, the numbers were big, even for the concessions and everything. So the carnival set not only some daily records, but an overall record as well. So they've been coming here almost 50 years, and this was their highest grossing overall.
Wow. And given that, economically things are just a little bit tough right now, so it's surprising to have that many records broken.
Well, one of the things that we really committed to this last year is multiple opportunities for people to get discounts on tickets to get in.
Oh.
So we had flash sales. We had like 6 tickets for $50. There were plenty of different opportunities. But secondary to that is we do a lot of free entries. So we have a special needs day. We have senior day, kids day. We have sponsors who help subsidize that. So Altana, if you showed your debit card, you were able to get in for free. So there's multiple opportunities throughout the week to get a discount to get into the event. And I think that what that did is it got folks there who had a little bit of extra money because they didn't have a ticket, and they spent that on the rides and the concessions and on the concerts. So we're super excited about that. As far as the rodeo billings was 3 nights. It's kind of a joke around MetraPark because Saturday night of that rodeo they actually sold out, and we had to do standing room only. So we build a brand new arena, and in the very first event we sell it out. So that sort of moves our ceiling to a different place. It's going to be kind of hard to top that, but I really feel like for a very first time for them coming, it was super successful. We probably were in the 70 to 80% range on the Thursday and Friday night, so we weren't quite a sold out, but the crowd loved it. They were engaged the entire time. And one of the things coming from the rodeo world is it's really tough to keep people engaged for 2.5 hours. I don't even know if anyone went to the restroom. Honestly, every time I looked up there, the crowd was still, and they were clapping and cheering. So those are the kind of things that really we take pride in when we walk away from it and say, we put on an event that everybody that was there really enjoyed it and engaged. Then, as you know, those folks after the concerts and after the rodeo move on down to the midway. And so, I just had a tremendous response. I'm not really sure who we probably are best thanking Mother Nature because we had tremendous weather this year.
Yes, you did.
We had a pretty rough, the day before there was some wind and rain and blew a couple of tents down, but we were able to get all of that straightened back up and cleaned up and then start the first night of fair, and beautiful weather for the entire time.
It was real lucky. Explain to me about the rodeo. Are there different rodeo companies that are just intact and move around?
So when you say it like that, the animals that for like the rough stock events and the roping events are provided by a stock contractor. And stock contractors, there's quite a few of them in the United States. And what they do is they move around depending on their schedules, where they are regionally, and some things like that. Rodeo Billings went out of their way and went and found the best of the best. The bucking horses that they have all been to the national finals rodeos. They're world champions, and luckily they're right out of Circle. And the son-in-law lives in Texas, but he brings his animals up as well. So it's J Bar J, and they literally are the best in as far as the horse events, and everything else. They're right there in the top 5. So the animals themselves, the animal athletes, were the best of the best. And what that does is that brings in the cowboys who know okay, if I get on one of these really good horses and I do my job, the horse is going to do its job, then I have a chance of winning some money. So it's really easy to put that opportunity in front of the cowboys, and they choose to come to our rodeo as opposed to some of the others, because during the summer it's huge. That's when rodeo is at its pinnacle, and these guys have opportunities of upwards of a dozen rodeos in a week that they could go to. And so choosing to come to us was I think a gamble for the Rodeo Billings folks, but definitely paid off, because not only did the cowboys enjoy themselves, and the irony, and I always make fun of it, is we actually set arena records this whole year.
Really?
Yeah,
Well,
because the arena's brand new.
It's brand new.
So we set arena records across the board.
Well, so do cowboys have to audition to be in a rodeo?
Nope. They pay an entry fee. They have an entry system to get in. So they would just call up, or now everything's electronic, so that they enter that way. What will happen though is if you have more entries than you do actual spots, because only 12 can perform in each event during a performance, they called it, or a perf. Then they have slack, and slack means that on one of the days early in the morning they come and they compete. There's just not any crowd, and it's not all of the spectacular parts of the rodeo, but their times or their scores go into the books, and then at the end of the rodeo it's still the best person wins based on that. So what happens is when the priority comes during an actual performance to either folks who are already in the top 15 in the world or local. So there's a little idea that if you have too many people entered and they aren't in the slack, then there's a little bit of variance. So I wouldn't say necessarily audition, but your past performance or the performance that you are, where you're in the standings during the year, is going to give you a better opportunity.
Is that entry fee the same as everybody else's?
Everybody's, each rodeo, it's different.
Okay.
And that's a part of their purse. So the entry fee goes in, and then they pull some of that off for the purse, and then most of the promoters that put on the rodeos have what they call added money. So they take additional dollars and put into that purse so that it increases the purse amount. Again, another opportunity for folks is when you have a really good purse, you're going to draw the best as well.
Right, for sure. Well, speaking of rodeo, let's talk Chase Hawks.
Sure. So for the folks that aren't familiar, Chase Hawks is an all rough stock event. So they'll have saddle bronc, bareback, and bulls. Happens in December. It's a wonderful event for this community. It's a memorial to Chase Hawks, a young fellow that lost his life as a very young person. So they have an actual board. They do a lot of fundraisers throughout the year, but their big pinnacle event is the rodeo. And it's always really close to Christmas, so we never really know what the weather's going to be like. But they've had tremendous attendance for
That's
20
indoors,
years.
though, right?
Yep. So that'll be in the First Interstate Bank Arena.
Right. Okay. Do you have dates on that yet?
I don't have that right off the top of my tongue.
But December.
It's normally, it's right. So it will be after the National Finals Rodeo, and it's right before Christmas. So I don't remember where Christmas lies during the week, but it'll be that weekend previous to that.
Well, and then you've got coming up in 2026 the PBR.
Yep.
That's kind of a big deal, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. What most people don't realize is that we were Billings was one of the original stops when they first started 30 years ago.
Wow.
So we've got a legacy that a handful of the events don't have that Billings does. We're in a small market by comparison, because they're even doing it in Madison Square Garden. They're doing it in huge arenas. So to still be able to see that here in Billings in a smaller space is really a great opportunity. And yes, the PBR, they bring it every single time, so it's a tremendous spectator event as well.
It seems odd to me that they would be in New York City.
A lot of those groups have never been exposed to that. It's been, I believe it's about 5 years now that they moved into the garden, because normally they were on Long Island in Uniondale.
Okay.
So what people don't realize, and I've had the experience, but to try and physically get the equipment and the animals and the trucks and everything out to Long Island and to Madison Square Garden, it takes a tremendous amount of effort. A lot of rules and regulations, even on the highways out there, won't allow those big trucks on there. So there's a lot that goes into actually physically getting everything in place to happen there.
The traffic around Madison Square Garden is insane.
Absolutely. Yes, it's a huge growing. I mean, they continue to grow every single year. They've now moved into a teams version. So there's the individuals, and then I believe it's about May that ends, and they move to a team version, and they'll have their championships. It was in November of this year.
Okay, so and that I have down as April 17th and 18th.
Yep.
Of 2026.
Correct.
So we've got a little bit of time. In January, you've got a real up-and-coming comedian, Nate Bargatze.
Yep.
Is that selling already?
Oh my goodness, he's.
Did he just do the Emmys?
He did do the Emmys. A very clean comedian. You won't hear cuss words, not a lot of innuendo, anything like that. He's a very funny person. He's on Netflix and any of the streaming. You can pull up Nate's shows. We're super excited. We've really been sort of grooming this to try and see if we can get him to come for, I'd say, the last 12 to 18 months. And so they finally, the promoters decided that Billings was going to be a good stop. The unique thing about it that I haven't experienced here in Billings at MetraPark is it will be in the round. So that means that his stage will actually is a small round stage in the very middle of the arena, and that gives us the ability to sell all the seats in the house. A lot of the concerts play out of one end of the arena, so that deadens the number of those seats. So we'll be well over 10,000 for this event. And yes, I think we were almost 5,000 in the first 5 days of him going on sale.
Kidding. Wow.
But it should be a sellout, no sweat.
Well, and when you said in the round, I'm thinking that's maybe a little more difficult to provide security for.
So there will be VIP seating and chair seating around that. The security in reality is any of those events we're hyper secure on the artists, so it's not really something that anybody ever concerns.
Do they bring their own team as well?
No. No, that's something that we provide through our arena, as well as a third-party contractor that they do nothing but security.
Right. Well, how about this year's fair? Was there heightened security, or?
So we were actually a little slimmed down from the previous couple of years.
Right.
We had an incident before I got here, which heightened that up quite a bit. The irony of it was, when the commander comes in because we have a daily briefing, obviously, for my entire staff and anyone involved each morning of the fair. And the funny part was that each time we got to the sheriff's office, they really had, a couple of lost kids, maybe some juveniles that wanted to fight. But overall, it was really an extremely, extremely safe fair. What we did this year, a little bit different than in the past, is we moved their command vehicle more to the middle of the grounds as opposed to where you first came in.
Right.
And then we had a different program as far as how the police officers were dispersed, or the sheriff's officers, were dispersed across the grounds, and that made them evident everywhere. And that was a big change for us. So we didn't necessarily need the same amount of officers, yet they were visible at all times.
Okay. How about the rodeos? Was there security there too?
Obviously, yes. So it's and that's grounds wide through the whole fair. So we open the gates at noon, and normally we'll run to almost midnight. But that staffing is in place before we start every single day.
Wow. Okay. So, are you already starting on next year's fair?
Absolutely.
I knew it.
We started. I think we gave ourselves about a week, and started in for the fair. It's a tremendous event. It's the only event that we as Yellowstone County or MetraPark promote or put on ourselves. So that means that any of those dollars that we make in a net profit situation goes to helps us subsidize different nonprofit events and different events throughout the year, so that we can bring smaller groups in, that it's not always just the concerts and monster trucks and rodeo and things like that. So the smaller groups that utilize our space for meetings or trade shows or any of those events, the dollars that we make come from that.
Okay. So I'm wondering, how do you take the pulse of the public's entertainment appetite? How do you know who to try to book?
It really comes down to availability. The fair is a difficult product because we are very specific on our dates. When agents reach out to us, they're asking us for a space of dates. They might ask for an entire week or a month even, because they're in their initial stages of creating a tour. So we tend to fall into when they're available to come through Billings is how we actually gain those. With the fair having specific dates, we are only able to see who that we can offer those dates to. Mm-hmm. So there is a little limitation. We do pay a premium for that just because of it being non-routed is how that's explained.
Yeah. Okay.
So when it's a non-routed show, they may have to leave from somewhere in Texas to come here to go back to Louisiana. So there's obviously a cost involved for their side,
Mm-hmm.
and they're going to make sure to pass that through to us as well.
Yeah. Is there a night show every night at the fair?
Nope, just the first 3 nights, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Okay. And that tends to be music, comedians, whatever's out there.
Yeah, we're looking towards maybe some kids shows. They're quite expensive in all reality. But
now, what would a kids show be?
Like the Sesame Street type of shows.
Oh, yeah.
The live action for those kind of things. And we're looking at a couple of different genres that we might address. It's something that's in the works because, again, we have to look at availability. So we're adjusting how that works. Originally, we had to move dirt into the arena for the rodeo, so we always had to have the concerts completely finished and out of the building before we could do that. So that's why they're always on the front, or have been in the past, always on the front end of that.
Yeah.
Now with the outdoor rodeo, we don't necessarily want to compete with that. So it actually helps my team by being able to get the concerts over with, and we don't have an extreme push, not only from resources but financially, to get dirt in and out for the rodeo.
Yeah, all right. And is it still Thomas Carnival?
Yes, they're contracted with us for the next 5 years.
And they've been a long time.
Over 40 years.
With Montana, MontanaFair. One word.
Correct.
One word.
Correct.
Right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, good. Any improvements coming to the grounds that are like scheduled?
Not necessarily. The outdoor arena was a really big push.
Yeah.
We had, as I'd mentioned in one of our other interviews, we had some weather at the front end of last year, so that tended to bring down our window as far as timing, and all of our contractors really came to the table and made it happen. So that for this fiscal year coming forward, we're not going to have any new projects. I have quite a bit of maintenance situations that those monies are going to be spent on this year. I have some visions for the future, but it's not necessarily something that I'm quite ready to let out of my pocket yet.
Of course not.
Of course, Lynn,
Of course
but you'll be the first to know. I promise you that.
I will not. So do we have other rodeo activity throughout the year besides, coming up the professional bull riders, and I'm probably putting them in the wrong category.
No, that's actually fine.
Rodeo is what they are?
Yep.
Do we have others?
So the Nile happens in October, and they had a ranch rodeo this year. So what had originally happened, I think I explained this to you before, is they blended with us. They took their rodeo away from October and added it into the fair, and they rebranded to Rodeo Billings, which was successful for both of us. We were struggling at the fair to have a great rodeo and be able to spend the dollars and bring in the right people, just because it's a huge expenditure. They had a problem with this season for the PRCA, or the Professional Rodeo Cowboys Association, ends on October 1st. And so where you're in the standings and you want to be in the top 15 to qualify for the National Finals Rodeo, that deadline was before the Nile Rodeo. So when the Nile Rodeo would happen, it was very hard to get those guys to come, because right now they're basically resting and getting themselves healed up so that because at the National Finals Rodeo is where they make all of their money. They can win hundreds of thousands of dollars in 10 days. So they want to make sure they're
in Las Vegas?
Yep. In Las Vegas, it's always the first weekend for 10 days in December.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Is that something that you go to?
I haven't been in a couple of years. I used to work it, been there multiple times, so it's a completely different world. If you have any Western lifestyle in you, it's a tremendous experience to go down there. They'll bring between 300,000 and 500,000 people to Las Vegas during those 10 days. The direct impact dollars for those 10 days in Las Vegas eclipses anything else they do during the year.
In Las Vegas?
In Las Vegas. Eclipses it.
Wow. That
I
surprises me. I didn't know it was so popular.
Well, cowboys are gamblers.
Ah.
So that's where a lot of that comes from. I think rodeo in general came from gambling. Hey, I'll bet you $100 I can ride that and you can't. I think it was really how it come together.
Really?
And so my experience with cowboys is heck yeah, they'll gamble on about anything that you can think of. So Las Vegas is able to add dollars in to get them to come there because of the casinos and those opportunities. But also for families, they go there and there's what they call Cowboy Christmas, which is just one version of it, and it's a huge trade shows that are all Western clothes. I think they're up to about 5 of those different trade shows within the Las Vegas area. It's been a long time since I actually looked at the direct impact dollars, but just for reference, in 2001 it was about $73 million in 10 days of direct impact. So that was 25 years ago.
Do you anticipate anything like that for MetraPark? Like a trade show, for instance?
No, we're actually looking into different options of how to do that. We definitely have no capacity to compete with that event in December, but we already have multiple home improvement shows, RV shows. There's a lot going on out at the grounds, year round.
Right.
Those trade shows, it really comes down to the promoters, what type of items they have, what their vendors are like, and then they decide whether they want to try and roll the dice and have an event with us, and we welcome anybody that wants to come out.
Awesome. So there could be new ones popping up.
Oh, all the time.
All the time.
Yeah, we have Comic-Con, and that's a unique show, and in the last 2 years it's doubled in size, and they've actually had to move into a bigger building on our grounds just because of the response from the community. And
wow.
so that's where they cosplay, and they have different games, and they have all kinds of costume goods that they can buy and sell. And so it's a unique event to see. I mean, it really, there's folks, I would say 30% of the people that show up there show up in costume.
Fun.
Yes.
It's kind of a thing now, isn't it?
Absolutely
this
is
whole
a thing.
Cosplay thing.
Yep.
So Comic-Con, does it also then feature local comedians or regional comedians?
No, comic from as comic book as opposed to comics.
See how unhip
Yes.
I am?
I'll give you a pass.
no idea.
I'll give you a pass because
Thank
I
you.
had to learn that myself.
Did you? So people dress up like their favorite comic book characters.
Correct.
And come and spend some time here.
Yes.
Okay, very good.
But yes, we have all kinds of different opportunities and genres for people, and it's odd to think of what's more popular than the next, and we realize, I just learned today kind of theory of, oh wow, I never even thought that our community would have that group of people, and they sure do.
Yeah, but okay, so let's go back to the fair and the entertainment there. Do you have a team of people who sort of research different entertainments and tour schedules and that sort of thing? How do you make a final decision?
We do it internally, so my marketing team actually starts the process, but we have a third party, what they call a talent buyer.
Okay.
And so those folks, that's their industry. That's what they do. They're out there and they're in contacts with the agents, with the promoters, with everyone, and then what they would do is say, okay, what are your dates? All right, here's who's available and here's their pricing. And then we go through that, and we might have to make offers to a dozen or more different groups, and they either accept the price that we're capable of paying, because we're obviously under a budget.
Yeah.
As the county, we have certain budget limits, obviously, as the entire facility is.
Yeah.
And so when the fair comes, we have a designated budget for that and for our night shows. So we have to be able to accommodate all of those within the budget.
All right, so you throw 12 offers out there and they all get accepted. What do you do?
No, we do it basically
happen?
one at a time.
Oh,
and
I
so,
see. Okay.
We'd pick like like 3 because we have 3 dates for them, and then if they fall through, we just keep moving on until we find the ones that obviously we're going to try and pick the cream of the crop from the beginning and see if we can negotiate a pricing plan that works for us. But it's a lot based on the experience. I mean, as venue management, we've seen so many different things. We can get metrics as far as what a certain artist may have sold in a certain area. So regionally, we can say, okay, that's sort of the same demographic that we have here in Billings. It'll probably do well, or gosh, that won't do well here, so we don't want to even worry about wasting anybody's time. So it's definitely a process, and that's the reason we actually are trying to internally get ourselves to a point where we've got most of our acts booked by the time our first fair, or by the time the fair's over, we're already in place and booked for the next one. Because a lot of times it ends up pushing into February or March, and then it becomes a panic situation.
Yeah, no kidding. Do you anticipate Montana Fair growing in terms of number of days?
No, I don't see that happening.
You don't?
No,
Okay.
And this is a personal opinion, Lynn, but it's really hard to obligate folks in that time of year in the summer when there's reunions and there's camping and there's so many things going on, to obligate them to be in town for 3 straight weekends. So we feel like we're right at that sweet spot right now because we're giving different opportunities for entertainment. You have concerts and comedian on one end, and then you have the rodeo on the other end. But I think if you expand that anymore, you'll just cannibalize all of those opportunities.
All right. Do we have dates yet for Montana Fair 2026?
I don't know it exactly off the top of my head. When leap year hits, it changes my whole brain. I normally can give you a little bit, but the calendar the last couple of years has changed that. But it'll be that first weekend of August for sure, and then runs 9 days. So we start on a Friday and end on a Saturday.
Well, when you're ready to tell us more details, please come back.
Absolutely.
When you can reveal those.
I'm truly grateful you give me an opportunity to come talk to you.
All right. Thanks for being here.
Absolutely.
And thank you for joining us. We'll see you next time.